Thank you so much. My food's coming, so 1 sec. Appreciate that. All right, where are we?
The hand of the day.
Hey guys, it's Alec, Torelli, and welcome back to an episode of The Hand of the Day. Bringing you this one from the Rosewood Coeur d'Alene, and if you guys are ever in the north of California, please do yourself a favor and come check out this epic resort. Traveled to a lot of places, really lucky, but this is one of my favorite resorts in the world, so definitely check it out. Bringing you this Hand of the Day from the final table of, I think it's a World Series of Poker event. I'm actually not quite sure, but it's an epic hand from Jason Mercier. So the blinds are 8,000, 16,000 with an ante. Jason Mercier, mid-position, is the chip leader. Has King 10 offsuit. Totally reasonable open here. Maybe he wouldn't open here if he was a short stack or whatever, but as the chip leader and with a lot of leverage to apply a lot of pressure to the other shorter stacks at the final table, I'm really okay with this open. I like this a lot. He makes it 39,000, pretty standard open. And now Wilf in the cutoff or behind him has a decision with ace-king offsuit. He's the other big stack at the table, and generally when you are first and second in chips or you're a big stack at a final table, the goal is to generally be pretty conservative because you stand to gain a lot just by allowing the other stacks to bust. So I'm totally understanding Wilf's point of view here and not wanting to play a huge pot against another great player like Jason Mercier when they're 1 and 2 in chips when there's other players that are going to bust. That being said, ace-king is still definitely ahead of Jason Mercier's range, very likely to be the best hand, and he's in position, so 3-betting is fine. It is really tough if he gets 4-bet, and if Jason's capable of 4-betting on a bluff, you're really in a bad spot with ace-king, because if you 5-bet jam and get called and you bust in ninth, that would be absolutely catastrophic. Or even if Jason has queens and shoves all in, and now you're gambling for the first and second chip stack when you just stand so much to gain so much just letting the other people bust. So I'm okay with calling here in position with ace king. I would probably call given this specific situation. If I was a short stack, I would definitely 3-bet and get it in. But I would probably call here, and then what I would be looking to do is to play pot control against Jason in position, but also pick off another stack behind me who now decides to shove, and if Jason folds, I have a very easy call and I'm very likely to have the best hand. So I'm okay with the call. Everybody else folds, and we go heads up to the flop. The flop comes Jack 5 deuce with 2 hearts, and Jason has a very clear bet here. The pot's about 110,000, and Jason has a overcard, backdoor flush draw, but this flop is more likely to have helped his hand than it is to have helped his opponent's hand. So I'm okay with c-betting here. Something like half pot seems totally reasonable, and I expect Jason to be c-betting here pretty much all the time on a board like this. Any 2 overs are going to bet, any pair is going to bet, and any bluff is going to bet. Something like 8-7 suited is going to bet as well. So I'm fine with Jason betting this flop, especially from his entire range. I'm fine with his whole range betting this flop, but I'm also really okay with him betting this flop with his specific hand, because there are definitely turn cards that he can double barrel. He could perhaps double barrel a heart and get his opponent to fold like a mid-pocket pair, maybe even fold a jack. And he could definitely bet again on a turn like a king if he improves to the best hand. A 10 might make him the best hand. He could also bluff on a queen or an ace. So this is a great flop for Jason because there's a lot of options that he can have in this hand even if he does get called. So he bets about half the pot, 48,000 or so. Now his opponent Wilf has a very clear call. He has a backdoor flush draw as well. Backdoor flush draw to the nuts. He also has 2 overcards, and it's also very likely that he has the best hand at this point. He beats every hand that Jason could have besides a pair. So definitely clear call here with ace king. Both players played it fine. Let's see what happens on the turn. Turn comes an offsuit queen. Here's where things get really interesting. This is a great card for Jason because the queen is much more likely to have helped Jason's hand than it is to have helped his opponent's hand. Think about it. There's a lot more hands with a queen in them that Jason could bet the flop than there are hands with a queen in them that his opponent can call the flop. So Jason can have king, queen, ace, queen pretty easily, queen 10, something like that, but it's really unlikely that his opponent's going to call the flop with queen 10 or king, queen, or probably even ace, queen. So it's easy for Jason to rep this queen on the turn. Jason could also still have kings or aces His opponent can't really have that. Jason could have 3 queens or 3 jacks. His opponent can't really have those hands either. So this is a great card for Jason to bet. Not only did he pick up a lot of equity, but it puts his opponent in a very tough spot with pretty much his whole range. One of the best, I mean, I guess his opponent could have queen jack, and, you know, it's a great turn card for his opponent. But even if his opponent has ace jack, when Jason bets again here, his opponent really only beats a bluff. So it's a great card for Jason to bet, and it gives him a lot more credence to why he should be betting the flop here. So Jason bets about half the pot, and I'm pretty sure that his plan here is to bet again on the river. Even if his opponent does call with a hand like ace jack or jack 10 or pocket 8s, he's probably going to fold some of those on the turn, but even if he does call the turn again with a jack, he's going to have a really tough call on the river, especially if a heart comes or of course if an ace or a 9 comes, Jason makes the best hand as well. So he could value bet some rivers, bluff some rivers, so I really like this bet here. Now his opponent does something really, really weird. And at this point, if I have ace-king in Wilf's spot, I'm thinking to myself, well, Jason either has a monster that he's betting for value, like ace-queen or king-queen or queen-10 or better. Otherwise, he has a bluff. Jason's not going to be betting this turn with like jack 10 for value or ace jack for value. He's going to check call with those hands on the turn and pot control. So when Jason bets this turn, his range is a little bit polarized, and that's fine. In a spot like this, with a card like this, it's fine to have that range imbalance, but at the same time, you got to look at the hand and think about what types of hands Jason's betting. He's either betting a straight draw, a flush draw, or like a made hand that's pretty damn strong. So I don't see a reason to raise here with ace-king, because all the made hands that Jason's betting are never going to fold to a raise. Jason has like ace-queen or king-queen or a queen-jack or a set or aces or kings. He's never going to fold here because his opponent, Wilf, is only really repping a set, which is super unlikely because he didn't raise the flop and he might not call with deuces or 5s pre-flop, or he's repping queen-jack specifically. And there's just not that many combinations of queen-jack. He probably doesn't have queen-jack offsuit, so there's really only 2 combinations of queen-jack suited, so he's just only repping so few hands that Jason is never going to fold a hand of his own that's really, really strong, especially if he has a queen or a jack, which blocks, you know, combinations of queen jack that his opponent could have. So Jason's never going to fold his strong hands, and if Jason's bluffing, ace king beats all of the bluffs that Jason could have. So I would call with ace king here on the turn, and then maybe call some rivers if I thought Jason was going to bluff too often, or, you know, maybe I would call, and then if a heart comes, I would rep a flush because I have the ace of hearts in my hand and my opponent can have the nuts or something like that. But raising really doesn't make any sense here because you're either way ahead of your opponent's range or way behind your opponent's range. That's generally a good time to call. If you combine that with the fact that he's not really repping anything when he raises other than 2-pair, then he's going to be bluffing way too often here when he raises because there's so few combinations of strong hands and so many possibilities of bluffs. So I really don't like this bluff here, but it happens to be a great play because he happens to have the best hand, and it happens to put Jason to a really, really tough spot. So now Jason probably, you would think that Jason's going to fold here because this guy raised to 250,000 and Jason only has something like 600,000 left. So for Jason to even consider shoving here is extremely ballsy, number one, but number two, he has to have a super good read that his opponent is going to fold, because if his opponent has something like ace 10 of hearts or something, he might be bluffing, but he's still going to call it off because he has such a good price to call that he's just going to be getting the odds to justify calling, even if he knows Jason has a strong hand. So Jason decides to shove here, and give a ton of credit to Jason for having an incredible read. He has to be, number one, sure that his opponent's bluffing, but number two, sure that his opponent's going to fold his bluff and not have the right price to call, or just overfold on the turn or not make a call for his entire tournament life. I get it that you don't want to bust if you're the guy with ace king, and you know there's Jason can apply a little bit of pressure because the guy of course doesn't want to bust in 9th place when there's still other people left. But even still, this is an incredible ballsy play, and you got to give a lot of credit to a really talented player like Jason Mercier, who picks these spots very wisely and happens to be right in the times that he picks them. So extreme credit to him. I don't think I could have made this play. I think I would have just folded on the turn if I was Jason and let this one go. Even though I thought my opponent was bluffing, I still would have thought to myself, he's probably bluffing, but a lot of his bluffs are going to call me on the turn. If he has something like 10-9 of hearts, he's not going to fold it, or something like that, or ace 10 of hearts or whatever. But anyway, incredible play by Jason. Well done. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts in a comment below and let me know what you guys think about this hand. How would you have played it if you're Wilf? How would you have played it if you're Jason? And let me know. I read everyone, so I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, you guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and it helps me grow the channel and helps me produce more awesome content for you guys. That's it. Take it easy from the Rosewood Hotel, Coderval, and I'll see you guys next time on the Hand of the Day.